Hi there, and welcome to the Entrepreneur's Therapist podcast. I'm your host, Shulamit Berlev Tov, and I'm the Entrepreneur's Therapist. You can call me Shula for short, and my pronouns are she, hers. This is the podcast for business owners, solopreneurs, micropreneurs, freelancers, and self-employed folks who want support for riding the emotional roller coaster of running a business. My mission is to mitigate the entrepreneurial mental health crisis that the business press has been talking about since at least 2018, so pre-COVID, and transform the entrepreneurial ecosystem to include the whole human founder as a business priority. I do that through this podcast, of course, and also through speaking, teaching, and consulting, and by supporting women business owners to prevent burnout and preserve their peace of mind as they ride the emotional roller coaster of running a business in this era of relentless stressors that can make you want to lose your crap on the daily. This podcast is being recorded on lands that have been stewarded for 10,000 years and to this day by the Algonquin Anishinaabe Nation. Land acknowledgements are calls to action from Canada's Truth and Reconciliation Commission, and this is your call to action to find out whose land you're on at the very least and share that information with others, and to take what other actions you can toward reconciliation, because the harms caused by settler colonialism are ongoing. Today's topic is, can't sleep at night, even when you're tired? Here are some ways to tackle your insomnia as an entrepreneur. So as a business owner, you might find you can't sleep at night, even though you're dead tired. You might struggle to shut your brain off, and we're often under stress, and a lot of it. So shutting your brain off and getting to sleep can seem impossible. And it often happens that insomnia is our constant companion. Keeping all those balls in the air that you have to do as an entrepreneur, as someone who owns and runs a business, is a significant cognitive load that leads to mental fatigue and stress. And our minds, as you know, are a significant, if not our greatest asset. Thinking creatively, puzzling long and hard over how to solve problems is key to our business success. And sometimes it doesn't make sense that your brain should be shutting off, even though you need to sleep. So often we find that our powerful mind can be our downfall. It can be hard to shut your brain off so that when you're exhausted, you can sleep at night. And racing thoughts can plague your days and nights, making it hard to focus, hard to relax, and hard to sleep. And so you're frustrated. Why can't I sleep at night even though I'm tired? Ugh. You might not be able to slow your thoughts down. You might find that the same thoughts go round and round and round in your mind. You can't shut them off. You can't relax. It's hard to focus on anything other than your thoughts. You keep thinking about a problem. You replay conversations over and over. You catastrophize. This is what can happen when you're having trouble sleeping because you're stressed out. So I'm sure you're asking yourself, how can I shut my brain off if I'm an entrepreneur who can't sleep at night? Well, the bad news is that the nature of the mind is to think, right? Thinking is its job. You can't actually shut your brain off. We can't stop our minds from thinking. We can't stop having thoughts. But there is good news. The mind can be trained to be more helpful to you. And there are strategies you can use to work with a busy mind and racing thoughts so that you can get some relief. Because there's a body-mind feedback loop that we can use to help calm racing thoughts and promote our sleep. And there are 4 keys to encouraging sleep. First of all, you can use your body's relaxation response. Second, you can communicate with yourself experientially. Third, you can be consistent. And 4, you can practice good sleep hygiene. So I'll explain what all of those are one by one. When you can't sleep at night, you can engage your body's relaxation response. So just like a car has a hard time with a sudden stop, if you're not strapped in with your seatbelt, you can keep hurtling forward, even though the car isn't moving anymore. And in the same way, stress hormones keep hurtling forward, even when the body has stopped. So the body's physiology needs support and time to slow down. And when it does, then the mind can relax. And so I'm going to offer you a series of strategies to help engage your relaxation response. And there are links in the show notes for you so that you can use these tools. Certain relaxing yoga forms, such as cat-cow, legs up the wall, and child's pose can help with this. Even 10 minutes on the floor beside your bed, engaging in relaxing yoga forms like these three, cat-cow, legs up the wall, and child's pose, can make a difference in how your body is feeling before you get into bed. I've also recorded a video of a short, relaxing movement practice that you can follow along with before bed. And that can help your body engage in releasing some of the stress hormones by moving itself in coordinating breath and movement that helps engage the body's relaxation response. Breath awareness practice can also be helpful. And there's a link to a breath awareness practice in the show notes. The mere act of placing your awareness on your breath can have an impact. So let's take a moment to experience the impact of that. So I'll invite you to place one hand with your palm down on your heart space and your other hand palm down on top of it. I find that this is the most effective, but you might like to place your hand on your belly maybe. And to place your awareness on the flow of breath just as it is. Allowing your breath to rise and fall. Noticing the contact, the warmth of your hands against your heart space. And just taking a moment or two to allow your breath to rise and fall with your focus on it and your hands on your heart space. So the mere act of placing your attention on your breath can have an impact. And I invite you to notice what happened for you as you did that just now. For some folks, this can be really effective. You don't have to change or lengthen your breath to encourage the body's relaxation response. And I've linked to a guided breath awareness recording you can use at bedtime in the show notes. So the second tip is to communicate experientially. In order to use the body's own resources to help you relax and sleep, you need to communicate experientially with yourself, with your body. So you need to give your body experiences rather than words. So you may have noticed, for example, how telling yourself to relax, telling yourself to shut your brain off, telling your brain to be quiet doesn't always have the desired effect. But you can engage in behaviors and take actions that send relax, in quotation marks, relax messages to the body and mind. For example, you can develop and maintain comforting bedtime rituals. Predictability alone helps the mind and body relax because it knows what to expect. It's a little bit like kids and dogs. They recognize what we're doing and what's going to happen. Making sleep easier is a learning process. And so the more we repeat our rituals, the more the body comes to know what's happening and will start to engage the relaxation response faster. So ritual is an important aspect of communicating experientially with your body. Engaging your senses in ritual also helps you communicate experientially with your body. And so I invite you to use as much comforting sensory input as makes sense to you. So for example, that's where for some folks, a heavy blanket can work, a hot shower or a warm bath can work. Some folks like a cool and dark room. You can use essential oils that calm you, that feel good. There is research, for example, for lavender that supports the calming effects. But anything that you find comforting and relaxing can help, because apart from the direct physiological effect of a scent or an activity, the emotional association is also a powerful relaxation inducer. So for example, warm milk with a little bit of vanilla, right? There's research that shows that this can help, but also your experience of the comfort of that and your emotional association with it is as powerful as any other impact it might have. The third step is to be consistent. As I mentioned, consistency is an important aspect of supporting sleep. Regardless of whatever strategies you choose, it's important to keep up with them. First of all, strategies don't work if you don't use them, right? But also, repetition is how we build habits. And over time, habits help us build new neural pathways. Finally, sleep hygiene. As much as me, as much as me, oh my goodness, as much as we might want to be able to go to bed, to lay our heads on the pillow and fall right asleep, sleep doesn't just happen. Sleep hygiene is the technical term for behavioral interventions that have been shown by research to promote good sleep. So good sleep hygiene means having both a bedroom environment and daily routines that promote consistent, uninterrupted sleep. And when you consult your doctor or your naturopath or any other medical professional to talk about sleep problems, they're always going to assess your sleep hygiene to start, usually by asking questions about these following good sleep hygiene practices. And again, you don't have to keep track of any of this. It's all in the show notes for your reference. So maintaining a regular bed and wake time schedule, even on weekends, teaches the body what to expect and helps it engage the relaxation response. Creating a sleep environment that is dark, quiet, comfortable, and cool provides parasympathetic nervous system cues that help the body and mind relax. Now, parenthetically, there are folks for whom these situations, these environments have negative associations. And if that's you, these tips may or may not be helpful for you. And I would recommend that you get some support from a professional to help you unpack the stressors around your sleep times and come up with strategies that really work for you. The third good sleep hygiene practice is avoiding exercising and eating at least 2 to 3 hours before your regular bedtime, because these are activities that stimulate the body. So it's the opposite of engaging the relaxation response, right? Also avoiding stimulants close to bedtime because they're stimulating to the nervous system, and what we're wanting is to relax the nervous system is one of the good sleep hygiene practices. And something that I did not know is that tobacco is a stimulant, as well as, of course, coffee, tea, and chocolate. The optimal window is 6 to 8 hours before bedtime. Now, this may or may not be something that you can manage in your life, but it is on the list, and your medical professional will be asking you about these things when you're talking about sleep. Also, alcohol close to bedtime. Alcohol initially does make you feel sleepy and relaxed because it is a central nervous system depressant, but it leads to disrupted sleep cycles later in the night. So you may find yourself waking later when you wish you weren't awake, or having a restless night. And finally, screen time, not because of the evils of screen time, but because of light, especially blue light, and its impact on the production of melatonin. Melatonin is the hormone you need for sleep, and the blue light interferes with that. Not to mention, getting engaged in activities on the screen can be also stimulating and engaging for your mind, and the opposite of the kind of things that you would want. So those are the tips that your medical practitioner will ask you around sleep hygiene. But these are also tips that if you're not using them, you might like to think about, what are the things that I can incorporate from this in my bedtime routine? If you tried all these things and are still struggling to sleep because your mind is busy, you might like to try distracting your mind. Its job is to think, so let's give it something to think about. Left to its own devices, for a number of reasons, your mind will continue to worry or ruminate. And so when we give it something to do, it can go off and do its thing, and we can sleep, so to speak. Yoga Nidra is a guided practice for the mind that you can do lying down from the yoga tradition. It's a form of conscious sleep, they call it, that encourages deep relaxation. There's research on the calming effects of Yoga Nidra, and there's evidence that it can be an effective intervention for PTSD and other kinds of trauma and stress and anxiety in the nervous system. And I've included links to resources for the Yoga Nidra practice and for the research that I'm talking about now in the show notes. And so you can choose the recording that you like, stick your headphones in, close your eyes, get your environment, do your bedtime ritual, prior to getting in bed, and then allow the recording to play while your mind is focused on that. And hopefully in the course of the practice, you'll fall asleep. So what happens? You've tried all the things and you can't sleep at night. Well, if you still can't sleep, rather than lying in the dark, getting more and more frustrated, it can help to give your mind something to think about. So not something that's necessarily going to promote sleep or help you relax, because if you're frustrated already, lying there getting angry and more frustrated may not be helpful. And so listening to audiobooks, Dharma talks, or sleep stories can help. The main thing is that whatever you choose to engage your mind while you're lying in bed awake at night, whatever it is that you choose, it works more effectively if it encourages feelings of calm and happiness. So, for example, a good contemporary romance is far better than a detective novel, because the emotions elicited by your contemporary romance are happy feelings, rather than a detective novel, which, of course, by its very nature, is first of all engaging because you want to find out what happens, but also because it talks about stressful things, right? Dharma talks are often good because they address uplifting topics like compassion, generosity, and other things like that, equanimity. And because they're given in the context of meditation practice or retreats, they're often delivered in a soft and calm tone of voice. Insight Timer and Dharma Seed apps are two free resources that you can find Dharma talks on to listen to. If you do listen to a Dharma talk or even an audiobook, you can use the sleep timer function in the app or on your phone to shut that what you're listening to off after a certain period of time, so that it doesn't ultimately wake you later. I found 15 or 20 minutes is what was helpful. And there are plenty of sleep stories and sleep podcasts. The Calm app and the Insight Timer app have sleep stories. So does Audible. And a simple Google search for sleep podcasts will show you plenty of options. One of the things that I tried that I found very helpful, and I forget where I came across this idea, but it was about using sleeping beads. So you can take, like, I forget what you call them, malas, meditation malas for chanting mantras. And you can use those one by one to sing a song or chant a line of a prayer to yourself, or just repeat the line of a prayer or a poem that you like, using the beads line by line or repetition by repetition. The one that I used when I first started using this practice was Hare Krishna, because it's about love. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna. Oh, now I'm going to forget the lyrics. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Very simple, right? So you can choose something very simple and repetitive. And if you know the malas, they have 108 beads on them. And when I first started with this practice, I thought for sure it took me forever to fall asleep. And I was very anxious about the length of time that it did take me to fall asleep. And when I started with the mantra practice using the mala, I found that I rarely got less than a quarter of the way around the mala, because I would wake with the beads in my hands and I would see where I was and realize that I'm falling asleep much faster than I thought. But by comparison with my snoring partner, who fell asleep literally before his head hit the pillow, that contributed to my distress, because I was telling myself all kinds of stories about how long it took me to fall asleep. And this is part of the aspect of sleep anxiety that can make trying to fall asleep really difficult. And the benefit of this practice for me was twofold. First of all, that it helped me occupy my mind with calming and relaxing and helpful thoughts. But also it taught me over time that it didn't take me as long to fall asleep as I had thought it would. And I stopped worrying about how long it took me to fall asleep. And after some time of using the malas, I experimented with not using anything to occupy my mind before I fell asleep, and was able to sleep without support for a length of time, until something came up and disrupted my sleep cycle again. And I had to start all over again, training myself to sleep again. So I hope that this information has been helpful. And I'm going to include the link to a book in the description called that's about cognitive behavioral therapy for sleep support. What's really cool about this book is that it was written by a psychologist in Kingston, Ontario, who's like, oh, that's only about an hour and a half from where I live, which I find really exciting when I run into local folks doing really cool things. So I will put that link in the description for you as well. This podcast is brought to you by my self-guided virtual retreat. You can create your customized mental and emotional plan for your well-being as a business owner to help keep your CEO self in the driver's seat so you don't flip your lid and blow up your business when the crap hits the fan, like when you can't sleep and you're going to work sleep deprived. Running a business, as you know, can run down your mental health. The worries around it can affect your sleep. And as whole humans who own small businesses, a mental health plan should be part of our business strategies. You can boost your business and your own well-being as a founder and an entrepreneur with a mental health plan. And you can purchase the self-guided mental health plan workshop today. It's $99 US. It includes the workshop recording, the enhanced transcript, and worksheets. The link to purchase is entrepreneurstherapist.click/MH plan, and that link is in the description and below here. I'm the Entrepreneur's Therapist, and I'm on a mission to mitigate the entrepreneurial mental health crisis and transform the entrepreneurial ecosystem to include the whole human founder in business. If you've gotten something valuable from this episode, you can support my mission by sharing with friends and colleagues you think need to hear this episode about sleep and how to sleep as an entrepreneur. Subscribing, rating, and reviewing also helps mitigate the entrepreneurial mental health crisis by making it possible for this podcast to reach more stressed out entrepreneurs who need support, validation, and tools to help them care for their mental and emotional well-being in this era of relentless stressors that can make you want to lose your crap on the daily. Thanks so much for listening. I look forward to connecting with you next time.